This segment of the mini course is titled Gold Medal Mind Games, and I'm going to tell you a few things that you need to know, and more importantly, why these things are important. And the best way to illustrate that is through a story, another success story that came to me about 2 years ago, actually. I was driving down the road just on a normal day, and I got a phone call, and the gentleman introduced himself as a broker at a local real estate company, actually about 60 miles north of here. And he asked me if he had caught me at a good time, and we were talking for a few minutes. He says, you know, I want to tell you what's happened to me lately, and I need to set up a meeting with you. And I said, sure, tell me more. What's this about? And he says, well, do you remember a young lady by the name of Cindy Brown? And I said, sure, I remember Cindy Brown. And he says, well, I just interviewed Cindy Brown for her 1-year application here at my real estate company. Her 1-year timing had just come up. And she told me some very interesting information, and that's why I'm talking to you today. But you need to know something about Cindy. When I hired Cindy as a realtor about a year ago, I hired 5 people right out of real estate school. And I interviewed them all, and I'm ashamed to say this right now, but I gave Cindy the least chance of success in the real estate market. I hired 3 guys and 2 ladies that day, brought them on board right out of real estate school. This lady, Cindy, is a frail lady, about 5'2", 100 pounds dripping wet, in her 50s. And I just, of the 5 candidates, I just didn't think anything was going to happen. But here I am talking to you on the phone right now, a year later, and out of those 5 people, Cindy is the only one left standing. And she's full-time, and she's making a good living as a realtor. And I asked Cindy, I said, Cindy, how'd this happen? How can you go from never, ever being in real estate to just being such a superstar here at our brokerage? And she said, well, you need to talk to Roger Preble, because he showed me some things about approaching and interacting with people that has given me a lot of confidence and has enabled me to move forward in this business, and I enjoy it because I recognize I'm in the people business. So this young lady, in the course of 1 year, outpaced the other 4 people that came out of real estate school, had, in his mind, had the least chance of finding success, and yet was full-time supporting herself simply because she focused on the things that we are portraying to you in this mini course. It's all about the most effective way to approach and interact with people. Now, I recognize that it's a bold statement for me to say that this mini course is going to include information that will provide the foundation for you to overcome hidden barriers and gain the trust and confidence of other people very quickly. But here's why it works and why it's so easy. This mini course, and what I'm going to tell you right now, Gold Medal Mind Games, has to do with brainwave activity. That's right, brainwave activity. More specifically, brainwave states. Now, how many of you out there have heard the term brainwave states? There's primarily 5 brainwave states that a human being will go through in a 24-hour period. Pay close attention to this. There's beta, alpha, theta, delta light, and delta deep. We're going to focus on 3 of these 5 brainwave states. The more you understand about brainwave states, the easier it will be for you to access the particular characteristics that are associated with each brainwave state. For instance, when you want something from somebody else, when you want something from your wife, your husband, on a professional level, when you want something in a sales situation, when you're in sales, when you're in a relationship, if you're a business owner, if you're in customer service, or if you just want career advancement, we always need the help and the cooperative atmosphere of other people. So when we want something from somebody, we're in what's called a beta brainwave state of alertness. And our brain is oscillating at 30 to 40 times per second. We're focused because we want something from somebody. Here's the challenge. Generally, the person that you want something from is not focused, and they're not in beta. They are normally in an alpha brainwave state, and their brain is oscillating about 15 times per second. Now, let me illustrate this. Think of the last time that you drove to work. Have you ever driven to work and got to work and thought to yourself, wow, that was quick. I don't remember the last 2 miles I just drove. I don't remember the last intersection. You were listening to the radio, talking to a friend, you were on your cell phone, And your brain automatically took you through a sequence of events. It's a habitual pattern that you were in. So one thing that you've got to get from this training and to understand is that when you want something from somebody, you're very, very focused, but they're not. So when you approach them, you need to be aware that there's a disconnect here. They're in alpha, you're in beta. And we're going to show you how to overcome that disconnect and get people to focus in on you through this mini course. Now, another thing that you need to understand is theta. This theta brainwave state is just before you wake up or just before you go to sleep. Your brain oscillates at about 9 times per second. It's the most productive time of the day or the morning. Have you ever laid in bed and thought to yourself, had these epiphanies come to your mind of how you could do this better or how you could do that better, or just ideas that would come to you? And then you get up, you smell the coffee, and you go about your day and you forget all about it. And then 2 days later, you have the ideas again come to you. Well, what's the key to really tapping into this brainwave state? The key to this is very simple. It's as simple as having a notebook by your bedside, so that when these epiphanies come to your mind on how to improve your life, you simply write down a couple of the ideas and go back to sleep. What about at night? Have you ever been in a situation where you couldn't sleep, couldn't get to sleep? All these things were going through your mind. Write down some of these ideas on a notepad and then simply go to sleep. And when you get up tomorrow, act upon those things. This beta brainwave state, that's when you're acting upon these ideas that have come to you. That's when you want something from another person. They're in alpha, you're in beta. The ideas came when you were in theta. Keep all of this in mind as we go through this mini course, because we're going to show you the very key to opening people up in the next segment of this mini course. But right now I wanted to illustrate something else that's going to be very important for your career advancement. Understand that the optical nerve in your eye is connected to a portion of your brain that doesn't understand or distinguish the difference between the real event and the imagined event. It's called visualization. You can visualize things and have the same emotional attachment and feeling as going through that event. There was a guy by the name of Sir Edmund Hillary. Do you remember that name? 1953, he was a British subject, and he was the first person to climb Mount Everest. After successfully climbing Mount Everest and coming down, when he got down to the bottom, there were reporters there. And they said, Sir Edmund Hillary, what does it feel like to be the first person to successfully climb Mount Everest? And you know what his answer was? It felt the same as the last time. What did he mean by that? People misunderstood him. Sir Edmund Hillary had used what is called visualization. He had rehearsed every frozen footstep, every base camp. In his mind, he had climbed Mount Everest 20 times before the real event. Visualization is part of this brainwave state right here, theta. If I was you, every single day when I woke up in the morning, I would roll out of bed and I would take about 5 or 10 minutes to visualize your day, to conceptually put it together in your mind's eye, see the events of the day, and then move forward through them. That preparation will save you years. I've had people go through this and literally say to me, if I only would have known these things 20 years ago, how my timeline would have been shortened. You know, you can actually move a person across what we call the cooperation spectrum. You can take a person from here to here very quickly by using these techniques that we're talking about. Remember I talked to you earlier about how you can meet somebody for the very first time and suddenly feel a little resistance, or suddenly you start to like that person? Understanding that when you meet a person for the very first time, they may be here. If you want something from that person, you may be here. The secret is get them out of alpha into beta, and we're going to show you how to do that in the next segment of this training. But I think to sum up how this works, there was a girl 2.5 years ago that I met that came through our training opportunity. She lived in Section 8 housing in Las Vegas, Nevada. She had 3 little children with her. She had been on welfare for a long time, and she came to my attention through an employment agency. I was asked to help her to gain the skills to more effectively approach and interact with people so that she could make some improvements in her life. And she came up, learned the things that I'm showing you, plus a lot of additional things. And at the end of going through our training, she said, Roger, do you know anybody that would hire me? And I said, well, give me about a day, and I think I could come up with someone that could offer you a job. And the next day I met a guy, and this guy brought up to me the subject of hiring people. And he says, you know, I just opened my 4th hot dog stand in front of a Lowe's home center, and I need somebody to man that hot dog stand. And I said, you know something, I have the perfect person for that. It was this young lady, Andrea, who had talked to me earlier the day previous. Now, Andrea really was going from here to here very quickly, because when she went through this, she internalized it. She got it. She had a switch. She had a change in her life. She realized it was all about people and not about her. She went to work at this hot dog stand, and I saw this gentleman a week later, 2 weeks later. He says, Raj, I've got another hot dog stand opening up. Do you know somebody like her that could work for me? This girl is outstanding. She's breaking all the hot dog sales records I've ever had. Now, here's a gal that was on welfare and had 3 kids at home, hadn't worked for a long time, but by understanding the most effective way to approach and interact with people, she was breaking records selling hot dogs. She didn't even want to take this job because he offered her $8 an hour plus tips. And she said, I make more than that on welfare. But I convinced her to take the job. She was averaging $25 an hour between her hourly wage and her tips because she knew how to connect with people. She knew that when those people walked up to the hot dog stand, they were in alpha. They were in a daydream state. She was in beta. She wanted to sell them a hot dog. She got them out of alpha into beta, focused in on her, made a connection, and these people felt comfortable with her. And they gave her huge tips. Now, that's not the end of the story. 6 months later, I got a phone call from a guy who was regularly buying hot dogs from her at this stand. And he asked me, he says, do you know Andrea that sells hot dogs up at the Lowe's Center? She told me about you. She gave me your name, and I'm calling you. I'm thinking about hiring her as my personal assistant. She just has these great people skills. And I said, yeah, she's really good with people. She does really, really well. She could use a break like that. And he ended up hiring her for, I think, $38,000 a year with benefits. In less than a year, this girl went from Section 8 housing to a comfortable job with self-respect, working for a CEO in a local company there in Las Vegas. So whatever you're doing out there in business, in social situations, in your career, in business advancement, relationship, or sales, these techniques, these skills are imperative for your approach and interaction and your advancement. Now, I want to sum this up. If you don't take anything away from this training, understand this. I want you to understand this. It's very important. It's illustrated through an equilateral triangle. All 3 sides are the same. At the top of the triangle is who you are. Here, this side is who you think you are. And over here is how others perceive you. Who you are, who you think you are, and how others perceive you are 3 different things. The tighter this triangle gets, the more effective you are. If you are going for a promotion in a job, these skills will help you to get that promotion, even if you have less time on the job and you're less qualified, because people do business with people they like, trust, and know. If you're a business person and you teach people these skills that they're in the people business, your business will flourish even during these hard times. If you're in a relationship, you're not going to believe this, but of the 20,000 people that have been through this, I have had multiple people come to me and say, you know, before I went through this and understood these things, I couldn't get a second date. I'd like to invite you to my wedding. It's that dramatic of a change when you learn these skills that we're showing here today. So understand that who you are, who you think you are, and how other people perceive you is very important. Take that away. We can help you to fine-tune that. You're in beta when you want something, they're in alpha. People start to judge you in 3 seconds. Within 10 seconds, they start to form opinions about you. Understand that also. And I look forward to seeing you at our next segment of this mini course. Thank you very, very much.